right, it's another one of those weeks where I don't really have a planned opening. I don't know what's going on. Is it podcast fatigue already? We're on episode 9 of this season, and I was like literally like I don't know. I want to say like 2 minutes ago, being like, "What am I going to talk about? What am I going to talk about?" So I'm going to talk about something that Okay, so here's my thing about the podcast, right? We're the ETC podcast with entertainment, technology, and cars, and all things random. But on a certain level, I like to think that we make ETC kind of accessible for all, right? Kind of like how Top Gear and Grand Tour, kind of like even non-car fans watch those shows, right?
Okay, yeah.
And I feel like, we don't like nerd out like crazy, like me and you talking, we kind of nerd out for sure. But I think if we weren't recording for the masses, the 30 people that listen, like there's a little bit of dialing back and making it, accessible for the masses. So
yeah.
So this what I'm about to talk about,
we can dial it up.
Yeah, it might be dialed up a little bit, and we may
let's go to 11. We should.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we may lose some people on this one. But it's kind of to do with podcasts, and I would like to think that when people listen to this and they find out about it, like as they listen and hear other people's podcasts and watch other people's podcasts, they'll be a bit more educated on the topic now. So here we go. Here's a risk. Okay, so one of the all-time iconic microphones of all time. That's redundant, saying all time twice. Is the Shure SM7B. Now exactly. We've turned it up to 11 when model numbers come out.
Yeah.
But this is the microphone that so many podcasters and a lot of people in studio and music recording use it as well. Actually, it's not like this guy. This guy that I'm using here is the Shure SM58.
Okay. Yeah.
Not to be confused with the Shure SM7B. But me and Aaron are not the highest, most famous podcasters, contrary to popular belief. We don't have $500 to spend each on a microphone, and a microphone that, by the way, you probably have to spend another $100 or $200 to actually make it work, because it needs a lot of gain.
Okay.
Man, we're losing everybody.
Yeah.
Anyways, I almost want to just abandon this bit, but the kind of exciting news is that Shure released a follow-up to this microphone that's about half the price, and it's not specifically meant for podcasting, but it's more aimed at podcasters. So yeah, it's pretty cool, pretty exciting. But sadly, after watching a couple review videos, it's a good microphone. Don't get me wrong. But one of the biggest things I'm so tempted to spend money on the Shure SM7B, like the $500, is a very small feature, which is the kind of built-in. Oh man. Again, we're just losing everybody. The built-in pop filter.
Just run with it. We just gotta
get through this. We just gotta get through it. The built-in pop filter is not nearly as good on the cheaper mic. That's why I have to use things like this. That's why you have to use your foam windscreen cover. The new one's just not as good. So maybe someday we will spend that $500. Whew.
So that's the only difference between?
No, sorry. Yeah, okay. So it's a different microphone.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the microphone that you're using, in the sense that it's a USB like interface microphone.
Right.
So you can plug directly into your computer. But on top of that, it also has an XLR connection.
Okay.
But the form factor and the voice quality is similar to the higher end $500 microphone.
Okay.
And I guess the reason it was such a big deal is just because everybody uses the Shure SM7B.
Yeah.
And so when they released something that looks very similar to it, and everybody's calling it like the Shure SMB's like baby brother, it was a big deal just because everybody uses that other microphone, right? So except for us. So
apparently not everyone.
Yes, exactly. And to be fair, a lot of people out there are like, there are other microphones out there. And it just seems like the de facto microphone to get if you're getting into podcasting and you have a decent amount of money. So Ooh, okay. Welcome everybody
Strong
to
start.
episode. Yeah, strong start. Ah, God. Now I can't even do the intro. Welcome everybody to the ETC podcast, your one-stop pod for entertainment, technology, and cars, and all things random. My name is Casey Lee, and sitting across the city from me, as always, is
Aaron Senenkar.
That's it. We're back in the game now. It's episode 49 for this excellent, wonderful, stupendous Wednesday, October 28th, 2020, episode 9. That means there's just one more episode. And at the end of this episode, Aaron, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do for episode 50. So you better get ready.
I was going to say,
listen.
what's the big, such a big milestone, right? We gotta make it special.
Well, remember last episode it said, it's going to land around Halloween time, so maybe we should do a Halloween thing. Well, I miscalculated that, and by the time episode 50 comes out, Halloween's over.
Yeah.
So I have something in mind that I think will be pretty good. It's not super surprising, but yeah, we will save it for the end. All right, let's do the news here. So obviously, we are weeks away from the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X being released. Sony has officially lifted their, I want to say the word embargo, but I don't think that's the right word. I don't know what
they announced it
embargo
already,
means.
right? They announced all the details and specs and everything.
Yeah, what does embargo mean?
That's a news thing where something about there's a certain time, and up to that time, no news outlet can announce or share that. But as soon as that time is hit, then all the news outlets can share. And I think in this case, Sony would have given them all the details ahead of time, but the news channels and whatnot can't say anything until that time.
Okay, so that might be accurate actually, because all these channels were releasing unboxings but couldn't like play any games. They were like the most they could do is unbox it, show it. They could play the demo game, but they were forbidden from playing anything else or whatever. So
this is PlayStation.
Yes, PlayStation 5.
Okay.
So the embargo has been lifted, and the news is big, literally. So have you heard that the PlayStation 5 is gargantuan? It's like really physically massive.
I mean, the only I haven't dived deep into the comparison of the two systems, but the one thing that I have heard, but I don't think anyone has shown them side by side, so it's hard to get a sense of the size. But I have heard the new Xbox is just like a much more sane design. Like,
yes,
it's
Well, it's crazy too, because like, so yeah, for the FDK, I mean, the PlayStation 5 almost has like a plastic blanket around it. It's this kind of wavy, kind of cover on it. It's really big. I mean, it makes sense. Like people, I must have predicted this because I mean, they showed the PlayStation 5's disc slot, so you could estimate, okay, if that's the size of a Blu-ray or a CD or whatever, you can kind of spec out how big it is. But I guess people just didn't really realize how big this thing was. So that's come out, and it's the number one thing that people are talking about, just how physically big this thing is. Engadget wrote about how they're taking an almost IKEA approach to it because you have to kind of assemble pieces to it to like there's like a base stand that you kind of have to clip on and snap off on the bottom for it to sit horizontally, or you have to screw it into the bottom for it to sit vertically. I mean, at least they're including it. The PlayStation 2, that you had to buy it, buy that vertical stand or whatever.
The stand,
So that's the thing, and then also along with this, there are now custom PS5 covers that third parties are making. I don't know if they're official. I think they're more just like, aftermarket kind of, maybe like Sony doesn't approve it. But, like you can get a nice red one or a nice blue one or whatever.
Interesting.
But then on top of that, as big as the PS5 is, I was just thinking actually, literally this moment, this is a good way to tie it all in. So I don't know if you saw, there was a meme going around. I didn't actually know about this meme until this other video came out, but I guess people are comparing the very boxy, sane Xbox design to a fridge. People are saying like, oh, this is like a Xbox fridge or whatever. And so I guess in response to that, Microsoft actually built 3 fridges that look like the Xbox Series X. And it's interesting because here's who they gave the 3 to. So there's one
Yeah.
that you can enter a contest to win. And
Okay.
it's this massive Xbox looking fridge.
Interesting.
One went to Snoop Dogg.
Wait,
And then
these were sorry. It's they chose who to give this to, or was it some sort of?
I think they chose. I think that so one is a contest, but the other two I think they specifically decided to give to two other people.
Yeah.
One to Snoop Dogg, and then one to iJustine of YouTube fame. So
I feel like I can understand the YouTuber.
yeah, the YouTuber kind of makes sense, right? Yeah.
What is the reasoning behind giving Snoop Dogg one? Not that he shouldn't have it, but I'm just kind of curious what the reasoning
it is an
behind
interesting
that.
thing. I have no idea. Anyways, people should check out iJustine's unboxing of this thing. It's a pretty epic unboxing because like they actually made the box that the fridge comes in actually looks like an Xbox box.
Yeah.
And like I
amazing.
guess this thing just showed up, and then so Xbox Series X fridges.
I almost want the fridge more than the Xbox.
Than the Xbox itself, right? Yes, exactly. What do you have? Any news?
We didn't talk about any Apple stuff last week, right?
That's news.
So
That's definitely news.
we gotta get back on that train.
Dave breathed a sigh of relief. I am interesting how much Dave plays into his hatred of Apple versus how much he actually hates Apple. I have a feeling he underneath, just like Christopher Nolan and Dark Knight and all that, he actually genuinely loves it. He just likes to play into it.
Yeah,
But,
I'm pretty sure I've heard Dave say, Steve Jobs is his hero.
Yeah.
You know,
You remember
just- yeah.
that time? Remember when we set up that like hidden camera in his shower to kind of spy on him, and
Yeah,
he was
exactly.
like, "Oh yeah, Steve Jobs
That's-
is the best person in the world."
Disclaimer: we did not do. We don't.
Whatever. So presumably you have some Apple news then?
Yeah, there's a few things. I mean, I'll start with this. There's a lot of interesting, like they don't reveal everything usually in the announcements of the new devices, and there's usually one or two things that kind of come to light afterward. One interesting thing is apparently the new phones do have some sort of wireless charging feature.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is, if everyone I think is familiar with, you can, charge devices wirelessly now. I think Samsung and some other manufacturers have had phones where you could basically charge another phone or like some other wireless charging device with your phone.
Yeah.
So apparently this is built in, but they didn't announce it. I don't think it's available or functional yet. But it's interesting, right? I think this is not the first time Apple has added some hardware capability that is not immediately utilized.
Well, this is kind of your point a couple episodes ago, right? About how like $300 and some for AirPods.
Yeah.
But they're really like a platform that just keeps growing and gets better and better, right?
Yeah, and I think some people criticize Apple's approach of not just launching something and making everything possible, right? And so I think the rumor around why they have this is not for it to be universal charging, but for specific devices. So,
Right.
And this might actually play into MagSafe, right? And so you can imagine maybe you have something connected to MagSafe. Maybe there's some power transfer depending on what type of device, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you have your powered wallet or something.
Well, maybe you want to use your iPhone to charge your wireless charger, so then that charger can charge your phone.
Worst use case ever. But it's I appreciate their approach. I mean, same thing with MagSafe, right? I think it's one of those things where I think a lot of other companies will just add things because it's possible. They don't actually think through the usability and kind of like the functionality of it. And because that takes restraint, right? It takes restraint to not do a lot, like everything, and do certain things.
Yes.
And so this could be an example of that. It'd be interesting to see where that kind of goes. But I think, kind of like this, like I feel like there's a, just like we were surprised, I think a lot of people buy AirPods and wearables over the last few years, right? We weren't sure where Apple was going to take that. And that kind of was pleasantly surprising how far they've kind of taken that kind of thing.
Yep.
I could see, 1 or 2 years on where there's actually maybe a really big ecosystem and a lot of things around both MagSafe, but also this two-way power communication, right? Because I actually don't think they're going to use it for charging. I actually think they're going to use it for devices you might temporarily attach to a phone that don't have a built-in
that need
power
power.
source.
Ah,
So you can imagine,
that's true.
imagine
Yeah,
you could hook up a mic, right?
yeah.
That just attaches to the back, right? So you don't need a port. You don't need to do it through the lightning port or something.
Yeah,
it
yeah,
still
yeah,
needs
yeah.
power, but you could basically make those a lot more compact by not having any sort of power source. So I think
Well-
that those use cases are really interesting.
Well, even like today, right? You have, I mean, even like the iPad. If I'm not mistaken, it powers the Magic Keyboard, right? The Magic Keyboard lights up. right now, I think?
Exactly. What's
Yeah,
that
yeah.
interface? It's the there's
Like
a name for the interface, for the connector interface.
Oh, like the three things on the back or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, not sure. We
So
should.
that's
know,
an
but
that's
we-
an example. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that doesn't have to be on the iPad. That's a physical connection, but it doesn't have to be, right?
Yeah. I no, I definitely agree with you, because I think it's like I was, when I look back, I find it super impressive, and I have to imagine this was always in their long term plan. The kind of evolution of Touch ID all the way to Apple Pay, right? It's kind of like, okay, we introduced Touch ID, basic thing for, unlocking your phone,
Yeah.
right? And then over time, it's like, oh, we're going to use this to authenticate for everything, and it's going to be part of your payments and everything like that. And it's like, oh, okay, like it seems like a very kind of medium use case, maybe even small, kind of unimpressive use case. But then it makes everything else fall into place really nicely, right? Like if that works, then everything, like, again, Apple Pay, when it was introduced, is just a small incremental step to Touch ID.
Yeah.
Right. Rather than introducing Apple Pay and Touch ID all together, right? It's like, again, I have to imagine that, it doesn't always work out for them, but they probably have this long-term plan of like, okay, yeah, we have this interface now. There are all these visions we have in the future. It may come to fruition, it may not, but if it does, it's going to be sweet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely other companies have done it, but yeah, you're right. Their long-term vision is probably going to be more impressive. On that note, Samsung, having that charging capability back and forth, and so they obviously, I don't know, I think we talked about this. They released an ad, kind of, it was like this poster or some whatever ad, and then there was a little charging brick on it, and it said included with your Samsung phone or whatever, right? Kind of poking fun at Apple's like not including the charger anymore. Turns out Samsung may be doing the same thing next year.
Yeah.
There's rumors that they're taking out the brick as well. So
That's funny. Yeah.
I don't know why people are so surprised by this stuff anymore, though, to be honest, because like Apple has done it so many times and everybody's just followed them, right? It happened with the floppy drive and the CD drive and USB.
Yeah. Oh, that's going back. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's so many things where they just removed it. Like, okay, I remember when they removed, like, I think it must have been the CD drive is the first thing that I think about. Like because the USB ports are still all there or whatever. But like when they removed the CD drive, everybody was like, so, oh my God, what are we going to do without the CD drive?
Yeah.
They might have been, I think, one of the first maybe like laptops not to have a floppy drive. And then when they removed USB-A, everybody is doing the same thing, right? When they removed the headphone jack, right? It's just like these kind of things are like not that, like, Apple has such a track record of this now that I feel like it's not really that bold anymore. Like they're just going to do it. They know it's right, or at least they believe it's right. And like 90% of the time, everyone else just follows them anyways, right? So
Yeah, and I don't think, it's a lot of people might see that and it's like, oh, Apple's just trying to, especially with the phones, right, where they have much more market share. A lot of people might see that and just say they're forcing people to do that. But I actually don't think it's like that. I think maybe is giving Apple too much credit. Like I just think that they can see ahead a little bit and kind of make a prediction that is pretty logical, right?
Yep.
Like I think all those examples, I think all they did was just look out more than just the next year or so, right?
yeah.
And just basically know like, okay, well, yeah, like all these things, fast forward a few years and it's not going to be that unusual. So let's just start that now, right? Let's remove some of these things. I mean, like even, at some point all their computers had SD card slots, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And they got rid of that because they saw that, oh, you know what? The trend of just wireless data transfer is growing.
Yep.
So it's it's pretty simple math to just extrapolate that and say,
Yeah, exactly. And
in
they're
a few years, like that's going to be the norm, right?
and they're not afraid. And I mean, again, obviously, it's kind of over time they built this trust, but
Yeah.
I mean, maybe in the early days that was pretty bold. Those are pretty bold moves, but now it's like they have such a track record of doing it. Like they're like, no, we trust our customers to continue to buy our products regardless of if there's like a headphone jack or not or whatever, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. So, you know, you might get caught in this situation. Have you ever been caught in this situation where you're part of a group chat and you know, you're part of a group chat for some reason, and now you don't want to be part of that group chat, but you don't want to leave the group chat because then it's like, oh, why did Aaron leave the group chat? What's his deal? Like he hates us or whatever, right? And you know, a lot of these apps have mute for an hour, mute for 30 minutes, whatever, this and that, right? You know, WhatsApp you can mute for 8 hours, right? So
I think
you
you
know,
mute for a year, actually.
right, so you can mute for a year,
Yeah.
right? So that's good. So you're pretty safe for a year, but then you forget, and then a year later you start getting these messages, whatever, right? Well, WhatsApp has fixed that.
Okay.
WhatsApp now, you can mute forever. Yeah.
So you're still in the group. You're just
You're still in the group,
okay.
and now you can mute forever.
Yeah.
So I guess. I mean, I haven't really been caught in that situation, to be honest.
I feel that still doesn't solve the problem of like you still can't exit that group gracefully.
Yeah, exactly. I always find it
Yeah.
funny too when people exit groups because like I know there's a lot of times people just want to kind of clean up their phone and stuff like that. All right.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised
Yeah.
I don't exit groups more often because there are so many like temporary groups that I'm a part of that you know, again, I want to just kind of like, I'm done with it. I need to clear out my
Yeah.
phone, but I never do it. And most people I know, they're just leaving because I'm like, it'll be a group called like Casey's birthday party 2015, right? It's like that is clearly
Yeah, you should
done
definitely
now.
not stay in that. Yeah.
Yeah, you know. So but I still get that reaction like, oh, why did that person leave my Casey's group from 2015 or whatever,
Yeah.
right? So maybe they're addressing that. You heard you know Uncharted, the PlayStation game. A lot of
Yeah,
PlayStation
there's
games.
how many games have there been? 3?
There's been I want to say 4. Maybe
4,
not.
okay.
I can't remember. There was definitely 3 on the PlayStation 2. I think there might have been a 4th one on PlayStation.
More than
4.
one game.
Yeah, there's been
Breaking
more-
news from ETC podcast. There-
Yeah, there's a video game series that has more than one game.
yeah.
Did you know they're making a movie version of this? I kind of heard kind of rumblings of this.
Sorry, they're making a movie based on.
Yeah,
Based on
sorry,
game?
not a movie version.
I was like, I'll play that. What is the
They're making a movie, and what's
Yeah.
interesting is there was actually a fan-made movie of this, starring Nathan Fillion.
Oh, that's like usually when you hear fan made, it's like really ghetto. Like
Yeah,
on
exactly.
YouTube, but Nathan Fillion, that's like a legitimate name.
It was a surprisingly pretty good like video for again
Yeah.
being fan-made, or maybe crowdfunded. I mean, still not like Hollywood level, or
Not
whatever.
studio backed or anything.
Yeah, and I think the
Yeah.
reason they cast Nathan Fillion, well, one, I'm sure, I've seen Nathan Fillion a couple times. I'm not the biggest, I didn't watch Firefly or I can't even remember the name of the, what was the movie? What was
Serenity.
Serenity? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyways, I think one of the reasons they picked him is because he was like he really looked like Nathan Drake, like the
Yeah, I
lead
could see that.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, the Hollywood movie has released official photos.
Nice.
I don't even know if I knew this, but Tom Holland is playing the lead character.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now, I love Tom Holland. I mean, like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I think he's like the greatest. Like,
But do you
I
think
talked about.
do you think like that's a good? I mean, I'm sure you could do it. It just seems a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Like,
Yeah.
what is your first reaction? Like, what is your hesitation on it?
I actually like. I mean, I feel like Nathan Fillion's a better match. They should have just got him.
My hesitation is that he seems a bit young, but maybe that's just because of him playing
Right.
Peter Parker or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I will say, like, again, I went on about how much I love Justin Bieber last time. I also love Tom Holland. And he looks really cool in the opening, in the shot that they've released. Actually, he looks super cool as Nathan Drake. We'll see how it goes. I mean, video game movies, you know, they've gotten maybe marginally better. I mean, can you name your favorite like video game based movie, and was it really that good?
I'm trying to think if there's been any like
I
ones I
think
would
people
consider
talk
good.
about Resident Evil is supposed to kind of be good. Oh, Need for Speed was supposed to be decent.
Yeah, and I guess it's you know, maybe that was good because the games with the bar. Not that Need for Speed was a bad game, but there's like zero story. So like the bar for what a movie needs to be is so low. Whereas you know, there's a lot of games that actually have like a pretty rich story that then falls short as a movie.
Yes.
Right. I don't know. I mean, Tomb Raider movies were not terrible.
Oh, yeah, those are decent.
You know, like
I like the first Tomb Raider. I thought it was pretty good. I never saw the one with Alicia Vikander, like the new one that came out.
Yeah, it was not bad. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the ones with Angelina Jolie I thought were quite good actually. Or at least I saw the first one. So, all right, we're gonna take a short break, but we'll be right back after this. And we are back with episode 49 of the ETC podcast, your one-stop pod for entertainment, technology, and cars, and all things random. Before we get to Aaron's noggin, your hat's back, by the way. The Bugatti released the oh man, I've forgotten the name of it. Did you hear the name of the car today that they released?
No, I didn't even know they were coming out with a new one.
Oh my god, I want to.
So this is not like another version of one of their current, the Chiron or anything. It's
no, it looks very similar though. And the Bolide. I wanted to call it the bipolar for some reason. The Bugatti Bolide. It's still concept, but it does have one
weird name, but all right.
Yeah, the Bolide. I might be pronouncing that wrong. It does have 1,875 horsepower.
Okay. Yeah.
Top speed of 310. I think 310 kilometers.
No, miles.
Miles.
Yeah.
310 miles an hour.
That's great. You know, there's a new world record holder, right? Did you hear about that?
It's not Bugatti?
No. Yeah.
Oh.
Who is it? Shelby Supercars, I think it's a company.
Okay, yeah.
SSC, but they're an American company. They just did a test a few weeks back of something. I think it's a Tartura or something is the name.
Okay.
But it's insane. They hit, I think, the average speed because you know they do these test runs in two directions, right?
Yeah,
because
you go forward
to
and
account
back.
for
Yeah,
like wind.
exactly.
So the average was like 518 kilometers an hour.
Oh my god.
But
so crazy.
on one of the directions, they hit 532 kilometers an hour, which is that is insane. Like I don't know if this is I can't do the math in my head, but I don't know if the Bugatti is going to be faster than that. But that is the current fastest I guess production or manufactured car in the world currently, and 532 kilometers an hour. I mean, most planes are not.
Sorry, that is faster than this thing because this thing
Yeah.
goes 498 kilometers an hour.
Okay.
I think
So that is faster than most aircraft.
that's so
which
crazy.
is insane. Because again, most aircraft are actually, you know, the like single propeller, like small planes, and I think they go 300-400 kilometers normally an hour. That's current record holder.
Well, and the headlining feature apparently of this car is that it has a morphing roof. So apparently at certain speeds, this flat roof develops bubbles on the top to help something or rather.
That's crazy.
Anyway, check it out.
Yeah.
Bugatti Bolide. It's exciting, but not what is not as exciting. I can't talk. Not as exciting as what is underneath Aaron's hat, but on top of his noggin.
Well, I don't know about that. I think that's again. Let's not.
One of these days, you're gonna be like,
oversell
yes. Listen up.
I mean, this is interesting though. So I don't know if you've heard, but the SpaceX Starlink beta is officially open. Have you heard of this?
Right. No, I've never heard of this. What is this?
Have you heard of Starlink?
No, I've heard of
Okay.
SpaceX. Have not heard of Starlink.
Yeah. So SpaceX is a space launch company. So primarily right now, if you're a government agency like NASA, or if you're a company that just needs to get something to space, SpaceX is one of the companies out there that you can go and say, I need a satellite in space. Their big kind of thing is they have rockets that can be reused for the most part. They not only launch, but then they can land themselves, and that just reduces the cost a lot. So that is like SpaceX's main thing right now. But
which no other company can do.
There's a few other companies that are that have self-landing rockets being tested, but I believe SpaceX is the only one that has actually launched real like payloads into space.
Yeah.
And then landed
And like
back.
traditional space programs, the rockets were just kind of space garbage, right?
Yeah, they get ejected, burned up, whatever.
Right.
So yeah, it obviously lowers the cost if you can reuse a lot of the rocket. So I'm not talking about their rockets, but there's a little side project, I guess you could call it, that they've had called Starlink. And all Starlink is basically they call it a constellation satellite network for internet. But there's a few kind of companies
it's so funny.
that have tried.
As you're talking, I'm literally trying to decipher those three words. So constellation.
Yep.
Sorry, one more time. What is it?
Constellation satellite network.
Okay.
So there's a few companies that have tried to do various forms of basically wireless internet across the world, right? And so
Yes.
I think Facebook at one point, Facebook had something with drones. Google wanted to like fly balloons all over the place.
Yeah. You're
So there's been all these like schemes, but the main problem all these things are trying to solve is, most people, if you're getting internet at home, you rely on some sort of hardwired service, right?
right.
And even today, like, you and I live in a pretty developed country. If we don't have landline internet, it's pretty tricky, right? Like,
Yeah.
what are the best data plans on LTE? Maybe like 10 gigs a month or something, right?
Yeah.
And it's not super like cheap necessarily. You have problems with reception, whatever. So a lot of fast internet access is primarily just through wires, right? And a lot of them pretty old technology. A lot of that comes through cable, coaxial cable and things like that. So SpaceX is Starlink is a take on a new type of wireless internet service, but instead of balloons floating around or whatever, what they're doing is just launching a ton of these really tiny satellites into orbit.
Yeah.
And if you have enough satellites in orbit, you can basically get internet coverage across a pretty wide part of the world.
This is crazy. So, because I did hear Elon Musk. Sorry, I didn't hear it, but I saw some headline on the news the other day that Elon Musk is proposing this kind of thing.
Yeah.
I didn't realize this was a go, and I didn't realize that what you're talking about is very specifically about internet. Like these satellites are specifically for internet, right? Was what you're saying, right? And because Elon Musk, right? The Hyperloop stuff, and like there's a lot of stuff he does where it's more like, here is what the idea is.
Exactly.
Now other people go and actually do it. But this you're saying the beta's open now. People can actually use this thing?
Yeah, it's crazy. So they were waiting to launch enough satellites because you need a minimum number of satellites for this to be viable, right?
Right.
Because satellites, if you don't have enough, then you're not going to get like consistent coverage, or your internet's only going to work like a few hours a day, right? So actually, a very similar, different types of satellites, obviously. But if you're familiar with GPS, right, how GPS works, right? The only reason GPS works is because they have enough satellites in orbit so that as you're driving down the road or wherever, there's at least like a few satellites that are within basically line of sight, right, for where you are.
Right.
So that's what they're doing here, and that's why it's called a constellation, because it literally is just a bunch of satellites in orbit with enough density that wherever you are, you can get internet. So I guess they've hit the minimum point, and this is not. I think this is only specific.
How long have they been working on this? Because I feel like did Elon Musk just announce? I feel like it's only a couple of weeks ago that I saw this headline on the news. Like they've been working on it for a while.
I mean, the beta is just now, but this idea has been around for a few years, and they've been launching. I want to say they've been launching satellites for at least a year or two, like
Right.
these micro satellites, and it's pretty crazy. These things are not very big. They're really flat, so they almost look like a laptop, like that profile,
Yeah.
which is weird because maybe you think of satellite as like a box or something,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
all it
yeah.
is just a flat panel with like another flat panel, which is a solar panel sticking out. But they're pretty small, and they launch something like 60 satellites at a time. So every time the SpaceX rocket goes up, 60 or so of them get launched, and I think eventually they plan to have tens of thousands of these just orbiting around the world.
Wow.
So it's pretty crazy. So they've released a beta, which is limited to certain areas because again, they don't have full coverage yet. But
Sure.
eventually the plan is anywhere in the world, pretty much you can get this. And again, typical like Elon Musk fashion, like basically it's like a super early beta. You know, like
Yeah.
it probably doesn't work well, and there's all these like caveats and everything. They're calling it, and I'm not making this up, the better than nothing beta. Like that's what they announce it as, which I
Yeah.
guess is just like
in terms of it being like at least it's better than nothing. Like he's not downplaying how good this might be.
it's like the internal name like SpaceX is giving this test, and
Right.
again like they're not waiting until they have more satellites. They actually want people to just try it out, right?
So interesting. So how does this like? I'm curious right now how it works and what the long term vision is. Like, is it like right now? Like, if you're interested in the beta, is it something that you can literally like do these things literally broadcast a signal that you can connect to, or like do you have to like how does that all work?
So you need specific hardware that you
Okay.
buy from SpaceX, but
Okay.
basically you can sign up, and I think if you're within the coverage area or wherever it is, there's a monthly cost. So the monthly
Yeah.
cost right now is $99 per month.
Right.
And I don't think I haven't heard anything about any data limits or anything on that. And then there's hardware that goes along with it that is kind of right now is a one-time cost. So
Right.
you need something called a phased array downlink antenna. And so literally you have this.
If we didn't lose everybody in the opening, we're starting to lose them now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is yeah. It's basically a mini satellite dish, and so again,
Okay.
I think a lot of people are familiar with satellite TV, right? Like I don't know if you
yeah.
ever had satellite TV, but it's literally just a dish pointing up into space,
Yeah.
right? So this is similar. Like you buy this little antenna from SpaceX. It is expensive, so that package with the antenna and a Wi-Fi router is $499, but that's a one-time cost. So basically, I guess if you're in the right spot right now and you pay the monthly fee and you buy this, you will have internet, which is kind of crazy. And again, this is a pretty I think hearing these numbers, if you live in like a city and you have good like internet service, this doesn't sound that impressive. But even in Canada, there's a lot of people that live in places that are not that far out
Oh, totally.
that can barely get cell coverage.
Oh,
so
yeah.
for $99 a month, that's actually not that bad. And they're saying here current speeds are about 50 to 150 megabit, I think,
good.
download. So that's pretty good. And the data limits are going to be way higher than like cell, like LTE.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy. Like I think the dream is that you can just basically, the nice thing here is you can take that little satellite dish basically with you, right?
But yeah.
Like
I mean,
if
I'm
you're
guessing
moving around
the
and
long term vision is just they're going to globally have this available, right? And I think, and this is the thing that the headline that I was reading, right? They were talking about like Elon Musk proposes this thing for like rural areas, like you said in Canada, right? Like that's always the issue with a lot of you're right, like not too far out, like Canadian like cities and towns and stuff like that. I remember even like driving on Highway 41, like back to Pembroke, and there's just like nothing. Right,
Yeah.
like you just had absolutely no coverage whatsoever, right? And I mean, even you're talking about like where you live, which is totally not far out, but like you only have certain options for internet and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, no, genuinely intrigued by this. Actually,
So if you, I don't know where exactly like the coverage is, but it does say northern states in the U.S. or in Canada. So,
okay.
I feel like based off the geography of our listeners,
Yes,
that maybe that applies to you. So go to Starlink. I think it's just starlink.com. Google
Yeah, I
Starlink.
mean,
But
I mean, we
yeah,
have so many listeners, but they are really all concentrated in one area.
yeah, exactly. And if this is
So,
interesting to you,
so how do you
sign up for the beta.
this?
Yeah.
Starlink.com?
Yeah, Starlink.com, and I think there's a little sign up page there.
Interesting. No, that's super. I'm very intrigued by this. Very intrigued by this. Starlink.com, Elon Musk, SpaceX. I mean, how involved is he still with SpaceX? Is he still?
I think I think his two big things are actually no. There's three big things. So Tesla, obviously, I think he's still very involved there. He is very involved in SpaceX still. Like I think that's I would say between Tesla and SpaceX, those are probably his two main focuses right now. But another thing that I think he's spending a decent amount of time on right now. Have you heard of Neuralink?
Neuralink. Oh yeah, that's his like brain implant thing.
Yeah, so this is pretty crazy. So yeah, like I think the use case for this, so it's basically like it sounds very Matrix, like future craziness. But it's basically this like interface you implant in your skull. So it's like they do a little surgical procedure. They implant this device in your skull, but it's a tiny device, and what it is actually just a series of like electrical contacts and things like that connect to an external thing like your phone or whatever. The use case is actually for people with certain neurological conditions and things where maybe they have a disability due to like brain damage and things like that. The dream is that this can help with that, maybe help them regain a little bit of like everything from eyesight to like, motor and like hand movements if they've lost some of that. But they did a pretty crazy demo where they, I guess they've implanted it in these devices in a bunch of pigs. And so a few months back, like he held this demo, and it was like, very like mad scientist kind of thing. But they brought all these pigs out, and they basically like,
Do they have a video of this? I gotta see this.
Yeah, I'll post a link to it. But basically, they proved that they could. It was a one-way thing, so they weren't controlling the pigs.
Okay.
But they could basically identify what the pig was like, kind of like thinking, and when the pig was doing something, it would actually, they had a TV and an audio thing, so it'd play music in a certain way when the pig was like eating versus not. So yeah, but when you see that, it's just like this is nuts. Like how can somebody who's like basically like running Tesla and SpaceX, and then he's at this thing like implanting devices into pigs' brains.
I love the caliber of Elon Musk's demos, right? Like a bunch of like this kind of goes back to like, remember when he threw, what was it a rock or something he threw into the glass of the Cybertruck or whatever?
Yeah.
Like he's like, check this out. Oh.
Yeah. They're so entertaining because one pig wouldn't come out. And he's like, where's this pig? He's like, come on, let's bring the pig out. He's like, oh, okay, the pig's not cooperating. And then a few minutes later, it's like, where's this pig? He's like going back, like trying to get the pig to like come out.
That's too funny.
Yeah, very, very entertaining.
No, I definitely did not hear that part about Neuralink. All right. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, be sure to email us at podcast.etc@gmail.com. You can also follow us at Twitter at the ETC Podcast, and check out our YouTube channel where more and more stuff is there, including bonus material that we have. All right. So before we get to the correspondence, because we do have some correspondence this week, I would like to reveal what I would like to do for episode 50 of the podcast. So it's really not that big a deal. But
50 is, what is the... there's what's a name for 50? It's not there's names like,
is it?
Bicentennial? No, I think that's 200, isn't it?
Is that 200? Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah.
Like, and this is the thing with problem with bi and di, because like I know in like chemistry, bi means hydrogen and di means two. But then there's also this thing of like bi-weekly versus, which means like every 2 weeks.
Always confusing.
Yeah, and then people use it to kind of half it or whatever. The I don't know what the thing is. Now, it is funny that we are celebrating the 50th episode, considering again, like, remember I was comparing ourselves to Joe Rogan and Kevin Smith and all that. I think they're on like a couple thousand. That's
crazy.
It's same thing with like Mark Maron and stuff like that. So
yeah.
But yeah, episode 50. So it's not really that big a deal, but I think we should do a list up. I think we should do the episode's a big deal, but what I'm about to propose, I don't think is that big a deal, but I think it'll be fun to do. So we're scrapping the Halloween thing because it's going to be after Halloween by the time we record it. I think it should be another list episode. Now, kind of in the spirit of, reducing our effort, I don't think we're going to do a double fat episode. It's just going to be single fat. So we're going to squeeze a lot into that episode.
Yeah.
But it's still going to be a top five list.
Nice.
Okay, so the top 5 list, I think we're going to do it. Very traditional ETC list. I think we should come up with the top 5 technology items that you've ever owned. That you've ever owned. Okay. Now here's the catch to it. You can't say like a category or a like range of device. So for example, if iPhone is one of them, you can't say just the iPhone. You have to specifically say which iPhone that you owned. That you thought was the best.
4, obviously, but yeah.
And so like, and it has to be something that you owned. Okay.
Yeah.
So top 5 technology items. Again, that can be up to interpretation a little bit.
All right.
That you've ever owned.
I have to own them, right? We're talking about
exactly.
ones
You've had to have owned them, whether
Cool.
as a gift or your parents got you or you bought yourself or whatever, but you had to be yours at some point in your life. Top 5 technology items.
Nice.
So next episode, tune in, guys, for that one. Don't forget this Friday, Breton reminded me that Mandalorian is starting season 2.
Yes.
So definitely
Just in time for Halloween.
Yeah, exactly. Be sure to renew your Disney Plus subscription if you canceled it. So definitely check that out. But it is now time for correspondence. All right, we start with, you know how a lot of people write in and they're like, long-time listener, first-time writer. So, we had Dylan last week. And by the way, I totally didn't realize this, but I didn't realize Dylan was the guy that we had mentioned a couple of episodes before that he had followed us on Twitter and he had that cool background.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
yes.
like the designer. Yeah, okay, cool. So big thanks to Dylan. We do have some follow-up on that, but we start with somebody who I think should start off by saying long-time writer, but also long-time listener.
I feel this is the fact that this, because have we what episode did we start these? Like, I feel like we're on a pretty good streak for correspondence. I feel like that is a more impressive part because you and I could just keep showing up every week.
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
The fact that people are continuing, that is, great.
Well, this is crazy. So the first, I'm talking about Andrea. Andrea's probably written us, I want to say, I mean, I can check. She has written us 1, 2, 3, 4 times.
Nice.
And left some YouTube comments as well in a span of 8 episodes or 9 episodes. So yeah, you're right. That is more impressive. So, okay. So Andrea writes, "Hi again. Loved episode 48. No surprise." See, that brings me a little bit of joy because I feel like I'm getting all over the place now in these episodes. Like
maybe that's what people want to hear. That's what the people want.
Exactly. Because if you were just rewind literally 10 minutes to what we were talking about, like that was way all over the place. That was just news left, right, and center. But yeah, right. Maybe the fans are loving it. So, hi again. Loved episode 48. No surprise. Loved episode 48. That's not what the no surprise is. No surprise. I have lots of comments. So feel free to be selective about what goes on the air. No, we're not going to be selective.
This is just going to become a segment someday.
Yeah. Andrea tweaks etc. Basically.
Yeah.
Episode 47. My iPhone 6 is still running like a charm for 4 years now. That's actually pretty impressive. Definitely in the not broke, don't need a new one camp. You can share my secret to how I've managed to keep it so long and how it felt like a brand new phone a couple years ago. What is her secret?
I think she's talking about the ridiculous military grade case she had.
Yeah, so we were talking it must have been an OtterBox, right?
I think so.
These crazy cases that become very hard to use the phone itself. But yeah, I mean, I guess if it makes it last 4 years, I mean, it's worth it, right? So
There you go. iPhone 6, right? Like I said,
Yeah.
I feel like that is the longest lived iPhone probably, right? They've ever made.
Yeah, I mean, she said it's been running for 4 years now, but that phone came out that phone came out 6-7 years ago now, right?
Yeah,
I think.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly.
It's basically one a year, right? And
At
we're on
least, it
basically
seems,
iPhone
yeah, I guess it could be older than
12
4
now,
years,
right?
definitely.
So,
Yep.
yeah. Episode 48, please add the bit where Aaron hums a song and you have to guess it. Yes. Aaron, the fans are wanting it. So someday you got to introduce.
I thought you were. What? I thought you were humming the song and I guess it.
No, it was, we were talking about Spotify or Google and how you can hum a song now and hear it.
Oh, yeah.
And you were talking about how, I'm not going to hum or whatever. I'm like, oh, we should play this game where Aaron hums a song and you guess it. So whenever you're ready, Aaron, just let us know and we will play that game.
That seems like the hardest game in the world. Not necessarily for me, but for whoever has a guess.
Also, I think this was one of my favorite episodes so far. Forgot to ask last time. Did Casey write the intro music himself? It's wicked. Good story about the intro music. Yeah, so the intro music, it started off as kind of like some Apple loops. So, GarageBand got some Apple loops. But the kind of couple of riffs I did write, but I mean, they're not, write is a strong word. It's like pretty simple, like chord riff. And then the iconic dun 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 dun.
Right.
And so I did technically write that.
Yeah.
And then so when it came back for season 6, I kind of did a new take on it, again the 2020 version of it, where again there are definitely some Apple loops in there. So the whole organ in the beginning and stuff like that's not me playing. That's just pre-built Apple loops. But then it kicks in with that ETC thing. So the ETC kind of theme I did write, but a lot of instrumentation and stuff like that, it's just Apple
co-wrote it. Maybe you and Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs.
Yes.
Wrote the original loops, right?
Yeah, Dave introduced me to him so some years ago, and he wrote those for me. So
yeah.
Side note, I went to quickly search for your podcast on YouTube and typed ETC podcast and discovered someone else is already copying you guys. We know. When I typed in Casey Lee plus ETC podcast, I easily found it, but I'm dying to understand. Can you explain how the YouTube search engine works? I used to make a playlist for my choir students and thought they could just search the title. Example, choir Thanksgiving Mass 2019 plus my name, but it doesn't always work. I have tried everything and it just baffles me how the search engine works. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time to get into the specifics of how that search engine works.
we totally know. But
but yes, we do not know how it works. If we did, we would probably be a lot richer. But this is one of the things that YouTubers always talk about. I mean, it's not necessarily the search algorithm, but the kind of feed algorithm is a big deal.
But I mean, the what you just said, I think is probably key, right? Like, I think the point is that people don't really know, because if you did, I mean, YouTube is a very lucrative platform, right?
Yeah.
For those that have a lot of traffic and viewers, and so I think purposely it's kind of unknown. Otherwise, everyone would just be gaming it, right?
Yes.
To get views, and so
that's exactly it. So so definitely some insight there. So we kind of know how it works, you could say.
Yeah.
Anyways, thanks for staying strong. I added the anyways. She didn't put anyways. Thanks for staying strong running this podcast. Celebrations are definitely in order for episode 50. Andrea, we thank you for being a very consistent listener, not to discount all our other listeners. We have a consistent 25 to 30 listeners every episode. So we really want to thank you guys for giving us an audience. We know, staying at home and all this stuff can be tough. And I think it's even tougher to listen to podcasts nowadays because a lot of people listen to them while they're commuting, right? And this and that. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts nowadays because I don't have a situation where I need to. So we thank people like Andrea for writing in every week and for listening to our podcast. We definitely welcome it, and we welcome the feedback that's coming.
Yep.
Okay, so moving on, we do have another one here, and surprise, surprise, it is a voice message. Yes,
nice.
It's always fun when we get these voice messages.
It's all my favorite. Yeah.
So if you guys want to leave a voice message, go to anchor.fm/the-etc-podcast. Okay, so here we go. Voicemail number 1.
Hi, it's Deanna Hamill. I'm a longtime listener, first time caller. I just wanted to leave a recommendation for the ETC podcast. It would be great to see for a special episode from time to time. The E stand for the environment or eco friendly. And maybe you guys could review like some eco products or some kind of technology that's environmentally friendly. It could also be related to cars and that sort of thing. And my other suggestion is it would be great to see the talented guys of the ETC podcast put together an app similar to the, what's it called? Untapped, where people can list new like eco products and things that they've tried and share it with others. Thanks again for all your great work. We really enjoy listening to the show. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Deanna. That's our good friend, Deanna. That's I was like, okay, this is sounding really good, and then she's asking us to build an app, but now we're getting some tall orders here. Okay, yeah, I mean, again, Deanna, our good friend of ours, has always been active in the environmental space, and her and her family, I think, have been doing some great things, environmentally, and I always like people like Deanna and the way they approach it. It's not there's never shame involved. There's never telling you how to do things. They just kind of live well and encourage it, where they can. And I remember when she used to kind of host events, kind of around this. So I think the suggestion of doing an environmental kind of awareness episode, I think that's totally fine.
I think we got there's definitely more than enough stuff happening to talk about around that.
Yeah.
And it is something too that I've dove into a little bit, but the app, making the app might be we might have to think about that a little bit.
Well, I
would also love an app like that. So I definitely agree with the premise of it.
Well, I also like that she kind of slipped in the she was kind of like, and it can be about cars too if you need to, whatever. Which I think would probably be one of the only things that I could talk about. So I can't guarantee the accuracy of the kind of environmentalism that we would talk about. But that being said, I think it's a good idea. I don't know, when we could plan that. Maybe I would say maybe around, kind of Earth Day and Earth Month and stuff like that. But I think that's in March, which is a little bit far away. But yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think
definitely
we have an audience, and I think it's good to do that. And yeah, the app, maybe we will. I should first try to understand what is Untapped. I don't even know what Untapped is.
So Untapped is if you're a beer drinker, you can basically tag what you're drinking. So let's say you're having a beer from whatever brewery. You can say you've tried it, and you can also review it. You can read other people's reviews. So it's a bit of like a community / like very specific to beer, tracking what you've tried and discovering new things as well.
Cool. All right. So thanks, Deanna, for leaving that voice message. I think it's a great idea, and we'll try to implement that where we can. And thanks for listening. I really appreciate your support. And everything that you do. So, okay, moving on to the third thing that we have here. We have a comment on one of our YouTube videos that went up last week. This was the extremely exciting bonus material that we post every now and then. Stuff that you can't hear on the podcast, you can't see in the podcast. Is bonus material. This was a big thanks to Dylan from last week, who gave us a video of you riding the zero axis chair. And our good friend Chris from Boston, he left a comment, and here's what he said. He's just driving in a straight line for 20 minutes, ? Okay, so we had a little fun with this. It's probably obvious what happened, but maybe we should come clean about this. So that video that Dylan sent us, I was so excited. Like when I got the email, like before last episode was recorded, and I was like, I'm going to post this. It's going to be awesome. And then I played it. And this was even before we recorded the episode. So I knew this was going to happen. But like the video is 2 seconds, I think. It's like maybe 3 seconds. It's very, very short clip.
Yeah. I feel it's like one of those things where you go to take a picture, but you're accidentally in video mode.
Yeah, right. Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like it's not really much better than a picture, but it's just enough movement to qualify as a video.
Yeah.
And so I had a little fun with it, and I put some decent amount of work in this. I didn't just loop it. I created a boomerang out of it. I did it forward, then backwards, and copy and pasted it.
And that's how you're able to trick Chris.
Yes, exactly. And you know what? It's sad because like when I watch it back again, it doesn't seem quite seamless. There's like kind of jittering of light, but again, it's the video is like low enough quality that it's passable. But the key here is I found a GarageBand clip of a car running, and I kind of layered in that car audio.
I was wondering, where you got the got the car
and
audio
I
from.
think that sold it a bit. A bit. So I don't know if Chris really is wondering what happened here. That was a dream of mine to post a 20-minute video of like something very mundane.
Just nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very curious. I'd love to see how many people. You know what's funny though, in terms of like, I mean, our views on YouTube are pretty low as they are. I mean, the highest video we have is 170 views, so that's kind of half respectable. Most are like 1 to 2 views. This thing got 12 views actually. This is one of our highest viewed videos.
I'm so sorry for those 12 viewers.
Yes. Anyways, thanks everybody for writing in. We love the engagement as always. You know, leave YouTube comments, leave voice messages, emails, all that stuff. Our email address is podcast.etc@gmail.com. Voice messages at anchor.fm/the-etc-podcast. And as again, YouTube, leave comments. We will get back to you as soon as we can. You know, if you get in on the ground floor while we are, you know, this small budding podcast, you will probably get your stuff read on the air. You know, it's only going to be a matter of time when we just have too much correspondence to do anything about, right? So, all right, we are coming to a close on this episode 49. That's 7 squared of the ETC podcast for Wednesday. Yeah, it's math central. We got some Asian in our blood. I mean, I got a lot of Asian in my blood. I mean, you have a lot of Asian in your blood too. Both your parents are fully Asian. I mean, you know, India's part of Asia. You know, whatever. It's just a train wreck of an ending here. All right. Do you have anything? Again, I always like to kind of give you a last word if you have anything to say.
No, I think let's continue on this solid ending and then just leave it at that.
Yeah. Yeah, let's just keep it going. Okay, so episode 50. Don't forget, guys, it's going to be huge. Me and Aaron are going to list our top 5 technology items that we've ever owned. It's going to be an awesome episode. I always love the list episodes. So we'll see how that.
I feel like we should maybe open up, like, even though we're going to get 0 replies. Like, I feel like there should be like we should ask people on Twitter what are people's top 5.
What are their top 5?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Good idea. Good ideas. In preparation for okay. So we'll post a tweet that no one will see, and no one will reply to. But you can email or leave a voice message about your top 5. My voice is cracking. Top 5 technology items that you've ever owned, and you may even get them read out on the air. But me and Aaron will be running down our top 5 in episode 50 of the ETC podcast. ETC podcast is currently hosted on anchor.fm and distributed to all your favorite podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, and many, many more. If you'd like to leave us a voice message, as mentioned, you can go to anchor.fm/the-etc-podcast. You can also follow and subscribe and like and comment on our YouTube channel. Just search the ETC podcast with either Aaron's name or my name. That's Aaron Sadanker, SADHANKAR, or my name, Casey Lee, CASEYLI. That's Lee, L-I, just like Jet Li, not Lee like Christopher Lee from Lord of the Rings. All right. That is it, though, for this wonderful Wednesday, October 28th. 2020, episode 49, like I said, 7 squared or 50 minus 1 of the podcast. My name is Casey Lee, and sitting across the city from me, as always, is
Aaron Zanetka.
We will see you guys next Wednesday.
Check out Elon's pigs.